My friends, everyone wants a better life. Some want more peace, some want more success, and some want more love. But here's a simple truther. Life doesn't change just because we want it to. It changes when we change. It's like standing in front of a mirror. If you want to see a smiling face, you cannot wait for the reflection to smile first. You must smile, and only then the reflection changes. Life is a mirror. The world outside responds to the transformation inside. We often wait for circumstances to get better, people to become kinder, and opportunities to come knocking. But what if I told you that change begins the moment you shift your perspective, your actions, and your choices? Think of a seed. For it to grow into a tree, it must break through its shell, push through the dark soil, and stretch toward the light. In the same way, you and I must break our own limitations, push through struggles, and rise toward our higher purpose. The good news is, you don't need to wait for tomorrow, next month, or next year. You can start today. Change begins with responsibility. Many of us go through life pointing fingers at circumstances, God, blaming people around us, or waiting for someone else to fix what's broken. If only my boss understood me, we say, and God, if only my parents supported me more, or if only I had the right opportunities. The truth is, life doesn't wait for anyone. God, waiting for the perfect conditions is like waiting for a bus that may never come. The moment we stop blaming the world and take responsibility for our own choices, that is the moment life begins to shift. God, responsibility is not about burden or guilt. It's about power. When you accept responsibility, you stop being a victim of your own story and start becoming the author. Think about a gardener tending to a plant. If the plant is wilting, and the gardener doesn't complain about the weather or the soil. They water it, give it sunlight, and nurture it. In the same way, and God, taking responsibility means nurturing your life instead of complaining about it. God, many people confuse responsibility with punishment. They feel it is heavy, restrictive, or unfair. But real responsibility is liberating, and God, it is the recognition that you have control over your reactions, your habits, your mindset, and ultimately your destiny. Imagine someone walking through life blaming others for their failures. They give away their power, leaving their life in the hands of forces they cannot control. But when a person says, "This is my life, and I am responsible for it," they reclaim that power. They stop waiting for miracles to happen and start creating them. Responsibility also demands honesty with oneself, God. It asks you to look in the mirror and admit where you went wrong, where you avoided effort, or where fear held you back. And that honesty, while uncomfortable, is the first step toward true transformation. It's like cleaning a messy room. You can sweep around the dirt and God, but the room will never truly be clean until you face the mess directly. When you take responsibility, life starts responding differently. People notice your reliability, your confidence, and your resilience. Doors that were once closed begin to open because you are no longer standing in the corner waiting for someone else to knock. Your choices, no matter how small, begin to shape the path ahead. And over time, these small acts of ownership create the momentum that can change an entire life. So remember, the journey of change doesn't start with circumstances. It starts with you and God. The moment you accept responsibility for your life, you step into the driver's seat. You begin to steer rather than drift. And that is where real change begins. Many of us dream of big transformations, an extraordinary career, instant success, or a life that suddenly changes overnight. And yet, most of the time, we feel stuck, wondering why nothing seems to happen despite all our wishes and efforts. The secret, my friends, is that big change rarely comes in a single leap. It is the small, consistent steps, God, taken day after day, that create extraordinary results over time. Think of a river. It doesn't carve through mountains in a day or a week. Drop by drop, over years, it slowly shapes the rock, creating valleys and canyons. The water does not rush or resist. It simply flows, persistently and patiently. Your life works in exactly the same way. Each small habit, each tiny choice, contributes to the shape of your future. Small steps are deceptively powerful because they accumulate. Reading just 10 pages a day may not feel like much, but over a year, it could mean hundreds of books and thousands of ideas. Waking up 10 minutes earlier may seem insignificant, yet over months, it creates time for focus, reflection, and growth that others overlook. The key is consistency, not intensity. Even the smallest effort, repeated consistently, compounds into results far beyond what you imagine. Many people fail because they look only at the end goal. They want to change everything at once. Eat perfectly, exercise rigorously, and achieve career success immediately. When they falter, they feel defeated and give up. But change is not about perfection, it's about persistence. Each small step, no matter how tiny, matters. It is better to walk slowly than to stand still wishing to fly. Small steps also teach patience and self-discipline. God. They remind us that growth takes time and that real transformation is a journey, not a moment. And God, when you commit to small, meaningful actions, whether it's practicing gratitude each morning, saving a little money, or learning a new skill, you begin to build momentum. Each step reinforces the next. God, creating a rhythm of progress that eventually carries you to your destination. Remember, the mighty oak tree began as a tiny acorn. It faced storms, droughts, and countless challenges, yet it grew day by day, silently building strength. In the same way, your life evolves not in dramatic leaps, but in the accumulation of small, deliberate actions. And when you embrace the power of small steps, you realize that nothing is too big to achieve, and God, because every mountain is climbed one step at a time. Life is full of challenges, disappointments, and moments that seem unfair. At some point, everyone faces situations that feel impossible to overcome, where the weight of the world presses down and the mind whispers, "Why me?" But the truth is, the way we experience life is not determined solely by what happens to us, but by how we choose to see it. 16 hours and God, shifting your perspective, is one of the most powerful tools you have to change your reality. Consider this: two people may face the exact same situation. One will complain, feel bitter, and see obstacles everywhere, while the other will observe, learn, and find opportunities for growth. Life itself hasn't changed. The difference is in the lens through which each person views the world. Perspective transforms ordinary experiences into lessons, failures into stepping stones, and challenges into invitations for growth. 16 hours and God. Shifting perspective doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to see beyond the immediate pain or frustration and asking, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? How can this experience make me stronger? Problems stop being punishments and start becoming teachers. Even a setback, when seen from a different angle, carries wisdom, insight, and the seeds of transformation. Think about a storm. To someone caught in it, it feels frightening and overwhelming. Yet from a distance, storms can nourish the earth, cleanse the air, and bring new life. Our life's challenges are very much like that storm. They are uncomfortable, yes, but they carry lessons and opportunities that we often cannot see until we look through the lens of understanding rather than fear. Shifting perspective also requires us to examine our mindset. Often, 16 hours, our suffering comes not from the event itself, but from the story we tell ourselves about it. We add labels, assign blame, and assume permanence. But what if instead of saying, "I failed," we said, "This is a lesson to help me grow"? And God, what if instead of focusing on what's missing, we noticed what is present and what is possible? A simple shift in thought can turn despair into hope, frustration into creativity, and stagnation into movement. This change is not instant. It is a daily practice. It is the art of looking for the light in the darkest moments, of seeking understanding rather than judgment, of asking, how can I turn this experience into wisdom? Perspective is like a lens on a camera. Adjust it and God, and suddenly the world comes into focus in a way you never imagined. When you learn to shift your perspective, life itself starts to change. Problems lose their power to paralyze you. Challenges become opportunities for growth. For 16 hours and God, and you realize that the greatest freedom in life is not in controlling circumstances, but in controlling how you see them. Life is unpredictable. Every day, we face situations beyond our control. Traffic jams, sudden illnesses, unexpected failures, and the actions of others. Many people waste their energy worrying about these things, trying to bend the world to their will, only to feel frustrated stressed, and defeated. The truth is, you cannot control everything, but you can control your response. Learning to focus on what is within your control and letting go of what is not is one of the most powerful steps toward a peaceful and successful life. Think about a sailor at sea. They cannot control the wind or the waves. Storms may come without warning. Yet, a skilled sailor doesn't waste energy cursing the storm. They adjust the sails, steer the rudder, and navigate as best they can. Similarly, in life, the storms are inevitable, but how we respond to them determines our direction. When you focus on your attitude, your actions, and your choices, you are 16 hours and God, you are steering your life instead of being tossed by the currents of circumstance. 16 and God, letting go of what you cannot control requires courage and wisdom. It is easy to hold on to anger, resent God, resentment, or fear, thinking that doing so will somehow change the outcome. But holding on to these emotions only creates inner turbulence. When you release what is beyond your influence, the opinions of others, past mistakes, or uncontrollable events, you create space for clarity, calm, and focused action. The energy you save can be invested in what truly matters: your growth, your relationships, and your goals. Control and release are not passive. They are active choices. It's not about giving up. It's about redirecting your power. Imagine planting a garden. You cannot control the weather, but you can choose the seeds, water the soil, and care for each plant. In time, the garden flourishes because your effort aligns with what you can influence. Life works the same way. Put your energy into what you can nurture and accept that some outcomes are simply not yours to command. Mastering this principle also brings peace of mind. When you let go of the uncontrollable, fear diminishes, stress eases, and you begin to move with life instead of against it. And God, you discover that freedom is not in having everything under control, but in realizing that true power lies in your choices, your mindset, and your actions. God, by controlling what you can and releasing what you cannot, you create a life rooted in balance, focus, and resilience, ready to face any storm with grace. Gratitude is a simple word, but its power is extraordinary. And God, many of us spend our lives focusing on what we don't have. The opportunities missed, the dreams unfulfilled, the people who have hurt us. And in doing so, we create a lens of scarcity, where life feels heavy, unfair, and lacking. But when we shift our focus to what we already have, something remarkable happens. The world begins to feel abundant, and God and opportunities that were once invisible come into view. Gratitude is not just an attitude. It's 16 in God. It is a force that transforms the way we experience life. Think of your life as a garden. When you focus only on the weeds, the problems, the setbacks, the disappointments, you neglect the flowers, the sunlight, and the nourishment all around you. But when you take time to notice and appreciate the beauty that already exists, the garden feels alive and thriving. Gratitude is the act of noticing those flowers, of recognizing the small blessings that often go unnoticed. And the more we notice and celebrate these blessings, the more life seems to respond with even more goodness. God, gratitude also changes the way we perceive challenges. A difficult situation can feel like a burden, but when we ask, "And God, what is this teaching me?" Or, "What am I grateful for even in this moment?" we begin to see opportunities hidden within the struggle. Ours and God. A job that feels demanding might teach discipline and patience. God. A difficult relationship might reveal lessons in empathy and resilience. Gratitude allows us to reframe life, turning obstacles into stepping stones and losses into lessons. Another profound effect of gratitude is on our relationships. When we genuinely appreciate the people around us, our friends, family, colleagues, even strangers, it deepens our connections. People respond to appreciation with warmth, generosity, and kindness, creating a cycle of positivity that expands outward. 6 hours and God. The simple act of saying, "Thank you," or acknowledging someone's effort can ripple through our lives in ways we never imagined, attracting opportunities, joy, and abundance. The beauty of gratitude is that it doesn't require grand gestures or monumental changes. It begins with small, daily practices, noticing a sunrise, appreciating a meal, or reflecting on the people who support us. These small moments, when multiplied, transform the way we see the world. Life shifts from a series of complaints to a series of blessings. And in that shift, abundance naturally follows. Gratitude is a choice. God. When we choose to focus on what is good rather than what is missing, we invite more goodness into our lives. It is not luck or coincidence. It is the law of attention. And God, what we pay attention to grows. And when we pay attention to gratitude, life unfolds with richness, joy, and endless possibilities. The people we choose to spend our time with shape our thoughts, habits, and ultimately our lives. And God, we often underestimate how much influence those around us have. A single negative comment can linger in our minds for days. God, while a kind word or encouraging gesture can uplift us in ways we never imagined. If you want to change your life, one of the most powerful steps is to surround yourself with people who inspire, motivate, and elevate you. Positive influences act as catalysts, helping us grow faster, think clearer, and act with confidence. Think about a candle in a dark room. Alone, its light is limited, and God, but place it next to other candles, and the room fills with warmth and brightness. Similarly, the company you keep amplifies your mindset. People who are ambitious, kind, disciplined, and optimistic will encourage you to mirror those qualities. On the other hand, negative influences, those who complain, criticize, or dwell in fear, slowly dim your light, even if unintentionally. Life is too short to let others drain your energy. Choosing who you allow close to you is a deliberate act of self-respect. Positive influences also provide guidance and wisdom. When faced with a difficult decision, talking to someone who has experienced similar challenges can save years of trial and error. Their perspective opens your mind to possibilities you may not have seen, giving you the courage to take steps you might otherwise avoid. Mentors, supportive friends, and uplifting communities act as mirrors, reflecting your potential back to you when you forget your own strength. However, 16 hours and God, surrounding yourself with positive influences, does not mean seeking perfection or avoiding reality. It means seeking people who believe in growth, who challenge you to become without tearing you down. It means letting go of relationships that consistently bring stress, doubt, or negativity into your life. It may be uncomfortable at first, but the space created allows your potential to flourish. God, another important aspect is your environment. Not just the people, but the media, books, and experiences you consume. Positivity thrives in an ecosystem where encouragement, learning, and inspiration are abundant. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity through toxic social media, pessimistic news, or critical conversations, it becomes harder to maintain hope, focus, and motivation. Conversely, immersing yourself in uplifting idea stories and communities reinforces a mindset of possibility. Remember, you become the average of the people you spend most time with. By consciously choosing positivity, encouragement, and growth-oriented influences, 16 hours and you create a fertile ground for your own transformation. The world may be unpredictable, 16 hours and God, but the company you keep can guide, uplift, and empower you to face it with courage and confidence. Surround yourself wisely, and you'll find that only does your life change, ours and God, but the very people around you begin to change in response to the energy you radiate. Motivation is a wonderful feeling. It excites us, energizes us, 16 hours and God, and makes us believe that anything is possible. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days it shines brightly, and other days it disappears entirely. If we rely only on motivation to achieve our dreams, we will inevitably face days of inaction, doubt, and delay. That's why discipline is far more powerful. Discipline is the steady engine that keeps us moving forward, even when motivation is absent. And God, think of motivation as the spark and discipline as the fire that sustains the journey. Spark without fire dies quickly. Discipline is the daily practice of showing up, doing the work, and honoring your commitments even when you don't feel like it. It is brushing your teeth, waking up early, completing a task, God, or practicing a skill consistently. Small acts that may seem ordinary but compound into extraordinary results over time. God. While motivation is emotional and unpredictable, discipline is deliberate and dependable. 16 hours and God. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Consider a student preparing for an important exam. Some days, they may feel inspired and ready to study, but on other days, they feel tired or distracted. Motivation alone would lead them to inconsistent effort. Discipline, however, keeps them studying every day, even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. Over time, the reservoirs and gods of their consistent effort far surpass those who rely only on bursts of motivation. Discipline also builds character. It teaches patience, perseverance, and self-respect. When we commit to a routine, resist distractions, and take responsibility for our actions, we train not just our skills, but our mindset. Challenges and setbacks no longer discourage us because discipline has taught us to persist. Motivation can disappear when life gets hard, but disciplined habits carry us through obstacles with resilience and confidence. Ours in God. Another important aspect is that discipline creates freedom. It may sound counterintuitive, but the more disciplined we are, the more control we gain over our lives. By consistently taking small, deliberate actions, we reduce chaos, avoid procrastination, and move steadily toward our goals. Motivation may push us forward for a short while, but discipline ensures progress, even in the absence of excitement. Ultimately, discipline is a choice. It is deciding each day that your dreams are worth the effort, regardless of how you feel. It is the quiet, persistent force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. While motivation is a visitor, discipline is a lifelong companion. When you embrace it, you realize that success is not about waiting for inspiration. It's about showing up, taking action, and trusting the process day after day without fail. Many people live their lives focusing primarily on themselves, their needs, desires, and ambitions. There is nothing wrong with caring for yourself, ours and God, but a life lived only for oneself often feels empty. Even when material success is achieved, 16 hours in God, to fulfillment come we extend our hands to others. When we give without expecting, and when we serve a purpose greater than our own comfort. Serving others is not only an act of kindness, it is a pathway to growth, perspective, and lasting happiness. Think of a lamp in a dark room. Its light is meant to illuminate, not to hoard for itself. The more it shines, the brighter the room becomes, helping everyone around it see clearly. Similarly, when we help others, whether through acts of generosity, listening, mentoring, or simply offering encouragement, we create a ripple effect that transforms lives. The act of giving not only benefits others, but also enriches our own hearts, expanding our capacity for empathy, gratitude, and joy. Serving others teaches humility. It reminds us that we are part of a larger community, that life is not solely about achievements, possessions, or personal recognition. By placing ourselves in the shoes of someone else, we learn compassion and understanding. We begin to see the struggles and triumphs of others as connected to our own journey and God, realizing that every life has value and every act of kindness matters. There is also a practical power in service. When you offer value to others, God, you naturally attract positivity and opportunities. People respond to generosity with trust, loyalty, and support. Relationships deepen, collaborations flourish, and a network of encouragement surrounds you. Serving is not a transaction. It is a principle of life that multiplies its rewards, both emotionally and practically. Moreover, service fosters resilience and perspective. Life will inevitably bring challenges, but when you focus on helping others, your own problems often feel lighter. The act of giving shifts attention away from worry, fear, and self-pity, replacing them with purpose and gratitude. It teaches that life is not about avoiding hardship, ours and God, but about creating meaning through contribution. Even small actions matter. A kind word, a helping hand, a listening ear. These may seem insignificant, yet their impact can be profound. Like drops of water forming a river, small acts of service accumulate to create a wave of positive change. By committing to serve, you not only improve the lives of others, but you transform your own life into one of significance. God, purpose and fulfillment. Serving others is a choice, a conscious decision to live beyond the self. When we embrace it, we discover that joy multiplies, connections deepen, and our existence becomes more meaningful. Life begins to shine not merely through what we achieve for ourselves, ours and God, but through what we give to the world around us. Failure is something most of us fear. From a young age, we are taught to succeed, to achieve God, and to avoid mistakes. And so, when failure appears, it can feel devastating, like a personal verdict on our worth. But what if we looked at failure differently? What if we saw it not as the end, but as a teacher, a guide, a feedback system designed to help us grow? Embracing failure as feedback is one of the most transformative ways to change your life. Every successful person in every field has experienced failure. What sets them apart is not that they avoided it, but that they learned from it. A failure is a signal, a message that something in your approach, strategy, yours in ours and God, or mindset needs adjustment. It is not proof of incompetence, it is proof of effort. The first step to embracing failure is removing the stigma around it, acknowledging that it is a natural part of growth rather than a personal deficiency. Think of failure as a compass. When you take a wrong turn on a journey, and God, it is not the end of the road. It is information showing you the path you should reconsider. The discomfort of failure is temporary. The lessons it brings are lasting. God, every mistake carries insight. Perhaps you were unprepared, overconfident, or missing critical information. By analyzing failure carefully, you extract guidance that no textbook or advice could provide. Embracing failure also builds resilience. Life will always present challenges, setbacks, and moments that test your resolve. If you fear failure, you may avoid taking risks. And life becomes a series of small, safe steps that rarely lead to meaningful growth. But when you see failure as feedback, you step forward courageously and God, knowing that even if you stumble, The experience will teach you something invaluable. Each misstep strengthens your ability to handle future challenges, creating a foundation of confidence and adaptability. Another aspect of embracing failure is self-compassion. Failure is inevitable, but it does not define you. It is simply an event, a moment, a learning opportunity. Treat yourself with kindness, reflect honestly, and then adjust your approach. The ability to fail, learn, and try again is a hallmark of persistence and growth. Finally, failure encourages creativity and innovation. When one approach does not work, it forces you to think differently, experiment, and discover alternatives you may never have considered. Many great inventions, breakthroughs, and achievements were born from repeated failures. They were not setbacks. They were stepping stones. By embracing failure as feedback, you transform fear into opportunity, mistakes into lessons, and setbacks into stepping stones. Life begins to shift when you realize that failure is not the enemy. It is a teacher guiding you toward the person you are capable of becoming. Life is a journey, and one of the most powerful ways to transform it is to commit to continuous learning and growth. Many people stop learning once they finish formal education, believing that the bulk of knowledge has already been acquired. But real growth does not have a final exam. It is a lifelong process. The moment we stop seeking knowledge, skills, and experiences, we stop evolving. Those who change their lives for the better are the ones who embrace learning as a daily practice, a habit that fuels curiosity, creativity, and resilience. Learning keeps the mind active and the spirit vibrant. It allows us to adapt to new challenges, solve problems more effectively, and seize opportunities that others may overlook. Life is constantly changing, technologies evolve, economies shift, relationships transform, and unexpected circumstances arise. By committing to growth, we ensure that we are prepared not just to survive, but to thrive in the midst of change. A curious mind sees possibilities where others see obstacles, and an adaptable spirit transforms challenges into stepping stones. Growth also goes beyond intellectual knowledge. Emotional growth, self-awareness, God, and the development of character are equally important. Learning to manage emotions, communicate effectively, and empathize with others enhances every area of life. A person who seeks growth recognizes that failures, setbacks, and even criticism are not threats but tools for refinement. Every experience, pleasant or painful, becomes an opportunity to understand oneself better and to become a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate individual. Another vital aspect of lifelong learning is humility. When we remain open to new ideas, perspectives, and feedback, we acknowledge that we do not have all the answers. This humility allows us to listen more, judge less, and embrace wisdom from unexpected sources. It breaks the barriers of arrogance and opens the door to personal transformation. And God, growth requires curiosity, courage, and the willingness to step out of comfort zones, explore new territories, and challenge existing beliefs. Moreover, learning is a multiplier of opportunity. Each new skill acquired, each book read, each conversation engaged in adds to the arsenal of tools we can use to shape our lives. Small steps of growth compound over time, creating expertise, confidence, and God, and the ability to influence others positively. Life rewards those who invest in themselves and God. Because growth is not just about personal gain. It is about becoming someone who can make a meaningful contribution to the world. When we never stop learning and growing, life becomes a journey of constant discovery. Each day holds potential to become wiser, stronger, and more capable. The path to transformation is ongoing, X hours and God, and every lesson learned becomes a building block toward the best version of ourselves. And God, by embracing lifelong learning, we not only change our lives, but inspire change in those around us, creating a legacy of curiosity, growth, and possibility.